Check out carmarshal.com. The link is in the description. They help support us.
Recreational marijuana may be legal to use in California now, but it is still illegal to drive while high.
That's the message San Diego police are hoping to send tonight at a checkpoint targeting drivers who may be under the influence of pot. News 8's Chris Groh is live in Pacific Beach with the new campaign to crack down on drugged driving. Chris?
Yeah, Carlo and Marcella, and we're just outside the Mission Bay Golf Course. We're actually on Mission Bay Drive. I'm looking at the I-5 southbound on-ramp, and just right here behind me, you can see officers from San Diego Police getting this checkpoint started, getting set up. But obviously, the new obstacle, this is just the second DUI checkpoint since that recreational marijuana law went into effect. And you can see right here the new tool that debuted back in March to help stop impaired drivers to test. This is called the Draeger 5000, and this is actually the machine that tests to see if a suspected impaired driver has drugs in their system. This is the mouth swab. They go in both cheeks, test the saliva, it goes right back into the Draeger, and it tests, and if the test results come out in less than 6 minutes or just about. Now, some of the reaction to this back when it debuted in March were some people pointing out that marijuana and other drugs could be in your system and you could test positive if not impaired. Now, San Diego police told us today that that's right, but there are other factors that go into a DUI arrest and then charge.
Because THC does stay in your system for an extended period of time, it can show up. But that does not mean the driver is impaired. So the officer needs to look at a lot of different factors. Just be responsible, just like alcohol, not to get behind the wheel after smoking marijuana.
Now, some of the other tests obviously also include a field sobriety test and what kind of actions and what kind of driving behavior those drivers were showing. Again, this Draeger 5000 not only tests for marijuana, but 6 other drugs, including opioids and cocaine. It is a voluntary test, but an officer can still put you through a field sobriety test. And I want to take you back out here live. You can see this checkpoint just again getting started. Officers just getting those, they're shutting down this area right now so that they can set this up. This all starts at 11 p.m. and it's going to go on until 3 a.m. in the morning. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Chris.
Police now conducting mouth swab checkpoints to test drivers for marijuana. With the legalization of marijuana comes the bolstering of the police state, and the new mouth swab checkpoints for weed are evidence of it. By Matt Agarist, January 17, 2018. Legalization in California is proving to be a bittersweet victory for advocates of cannabis and freedom. Not only has the DOJ promised to start going after innocent people in states where marijuana is legal, but now police are setting up checkpoints to specifically target marijuana users. Since weed was legalized in California, the San Diego Police Department has begun conducting checkpoints to target drivers who may be under the influence of pot. During these highly questionable checkpoints, police are taking saliva samples from motorists and running it through a machine called the Draeger 5000. The swab checks the saliva to see if the driver has marijuana in their system, and in regard to the Fourth Amendment, they are certainly controversial. Advertisement. As News 8 reports, police said there are many factors that go into a DUI arrest after some raised concerns that marijuana could be in their system and could test positive but not be impaired, since marijuana can stay in a person's system for a long period of time compared to alcohol. If a cop suspects a driver of being high, they request that he or she take the mouth swab test, and perhaps a field sobriety test as well. During this process, they're trying to gather evidence to incriminate you. The Draeger 5000, already in use in other countries and cities such as Los Angeles and New York, detects the presence of various substances, including THC, the psychoactive ingredient in cannabis. The problem is, this test has absolutely zero ability to test actual impairment or level of intoxication. Read more. Closing the gap between 1984 and 2014, LAPD deploys Orwellian spy drones. But a positive reading can give cops the excuse for the more invasive procedure of a blood test. According to the San Diego Union Tribune, officers trained to recognize the symptoms of drug impairment will first look for various indicators that a driver is high, From an unsafe driving maneuver to bloodshot eyes to the odor of marijuana to blank stares, San Diego police officer Emilio Ramirez said. Once there is ample suspicion of drug use, the officer can then request to perform field sobriety tests or for a driver to take the Draeger 5000 test. If the driver refuses at that point, the officer can force the person to submit to a blood test. To use the machine, the driver is handed a mouth swab and instructed to run it around the inside of the mouth for up to 4 minutes. The swab is then placed into the machine, along with a vial of testing solution, and the machine does its work. It takes about 6 to 8 minutes for results to print out on a receipt. A positive result will likely send the driver to a police phlebotomist for a blood test to determine precise drug levels. Even a negative result could lead to a mandatory blood test if the officer still suspects impairment. If the mouth swab test is negative but the officer still has a suspicion of impairment, then a blood draw might still be mandated, because the Draeger 5000 only measures for 7 kinds of narcotics, Ramirez said. And if you can't make bail, you'll be sitting in jail for weeks or months awaiting the blood test results. For many people, this would mean being fired from their job, or being ripped away from their family, or some other life-altering repercussion, all because a cop invaded your privacy at an unconstitutional roadblock. Read more: cop assaults disabled combat vet on video for legally parking in handicap spot and keeps his job. The Draeger 5000 can give positive results for THC even if the person did not even use cannabis that day. If it's legal to use cannabis, as in California, and the swab test can detect THC from days prior, there is absolutely no rationale for deploying the machine. Despite the fact that someone can be perfectly sober and still test positive, this evidence is admissible in court. San Diego Police Chief Shelley Zimmerman played on fears over legalization to justify their fancy new $6,000 machines, saying, "It's a huge concern of ours with the legalization of marijuana that we're going to see an increase in impaired drug driving." Clearly, these new stone driving checkpoints, along with the Draeger 5000 mouth swab test, serves no actual purpose in addressing impaired driving, but is just another tool of the police state being rationalized by cannabis decriminalization.
County, this is Charlotte County Cop Watch, and I wanted to explain what fair use is. You can use pieces of your news articles if you're doing it for news reporting, you have commentary, and you're doing it for education purposes. So that's what fair use is, as you can see right here. Another reason why I wanted to make this video is to let you know I have just joined with Patreon. A nice thing with Patreon, I make no money on YouTube. They took the money away years ago, and so this is another way to give, and it's a nice thing too because you can give monthly. You can give $1, $5, $10, whatever. I do 4 to 5 hours a day on trying to wake the sheeple up on how corrupt it is and different ways that you can fight the corruption. So Patreon is a way that you can do it, and then of course the old way is still there. Donate to Charlotte County Cop Watch with PayPal or credit card. So keep that in mind. 4 to 5 hours a day. I make no money, but the corruption happened to me and I'm sick of it, so I'm trying to wake people up. But my wife would love it if if we could get some help out there. There's 47,000 subscribers. Just think if each one of you subscribers just gave let's say actually yes, $1 a month. 47,000 subscribers gave $1 a month. That would be awesome. That's not going to happen. But anyways, that would be great if it did happen. But do the math in your head. Just think about it. Like I said, 4 to 5 hours a day. I get no money from YouTube. YouTube has gone nuts. You can't do anything anymore. They're taking the money away everywhere. So these are a couple different ways that you can still help out with all this time that I put in. And as you know, I'm in a special situation where, at least I can do it, 4 to 5 hours a day. We have a cleaning company during the day. That's what allows me to do this, and we're debt free. So this is my hobby. I don't go fishing and all that other crap. I try to save the world. So help me out to make the wife happy, man. In fact, if you guys did give $1 a day, and there was 47,000 of you, and you did it, and each of you gave $1, and that was every month, oh my God, yes, I could quit, I could start suing them. Another idea too that we have is, you know, if I got, you know, some funds, we could actually contact everyone that has been ticketed and or arrested and put in jail and start sending them postcards to let them know we're here and to see if everything went all right, and if it didn't, find out their story. So we could even do more investigations and more lawsuits. Lawsuits take money. So just think about that. You know, 47,000 of you so far right now, you know, $1 a day, I mean, $1 a month on Patreon, or $5 a month Patreon, 10, 20, whatever. Just do the math in your head, help out. This is a lot of work every single day. Thanks.